Hello everybody, welcome to another screen record. This time we will be talking about the diatonic mods. Not the diatonic scale, that is closely related to the diatonic mods, but the mods, called diatonic. And the reason we're talking about specifically the mods is because a mod is Edo agnostic, which means that it doesn't matter which tuning you're in, as long as that tuning could have, say, 5 large steps and 2 small steps for a scale that repeats every octave. That tuning could have diatonic mods. So we're going to take it through every single main step size ratio, starting with 1:1. Let's hear it. This is 7 Edo. So that's the diatonic mods in 7 Edo. Notice how there's a large step between. Notice how there is a large step between the 7th and octave, where you would normally have a small step. That's because the step size ratio here is 1:1, which means that large steps are exactly the same size as small steps. So with large steps and small steps being exactly the same, this ends up sounding like a cross between, I'd say this ends up sounding like a cross between major or minor. I'd say it sounds like a cross between major and minor, because, you have these neutral intervals at steps. At your 3rd and 6th are both neutral. So the 3rd and 6th, 3, that's neutral. 4, 5, 6, that's also neutral. And then the 7th is more minor than major. So I'd say this gives it a more macabre rust sound, but the 6th is half flat and the 7th is fully flattened. So it gives it that kind of sound. Here is a tonic chord, an A neutral chord. Or because it's a 7 Edo, you could just call an A chord. There's no real major or minor, it's only neutral. So you could just call an A chord. Then the 2 chord is B. I guess you could call it B. Then the 3 chord could probably be like C half flat. Your 4 chord will wind up being D, then you have E, then you have F half sharp, I guess. This one's meant to be C half sharp, this is F half sharp. Then you have G, and then back to A. So now let's adjust the scale's step size ratio. Let's do something fun. 14 to 11 as a step size ratio. So we're sticking to major here. Actually, we are going to start off. Actually, because now we're done with 1:1, we're going to do through every single mode. So we're going to take it from Lochran in 92 Edo. So it sounds like this. Notice there's a slight bit of Lochran flavor there. The step size ratio is still ultra soft, which means that it is very close to equalized. But that you still got some Lochran flavor. Let's take it through the scale again. And now this is the 1 chord. It's a sort of A dim chord. That's your 2 chord, it's major, it's really flat 2. Then you have your flat 3, minor-ish, 4 minor. Then you have your 5. Flat 5, I should say, is major. Flat 6, and flat 7, and back to 1 diminished. So, pretty cool, isn't it? Now we're going to change the mode to change it to one bright generator up, giving us Phrygian mode. Sounds like this. To me, that kind of sounds more like natural minor with a tiny bit of Phrygian flavor added in when you get to that second degree. It's a neutral second here. So I'd say this is natural minor, but with a half flat second. That's probably the best way to describe this scale. Just notice how good the 9-to-5 ratio is. If we want to build a minor 7th chord off the root. Kind of sounds a little brighter than you would expect though, isn't it? Because that minor third is a tiny bit sharp. It seems to be about 3.25 cents. And also the minor 7th is brighter. It sounds bright too because it's sharper than you would expect. Not by much, but it is sharper than you would expect. So now this is the harmony you could build. You could take this one minor. Then you have a flat 2 major, flat 3 major, 4 minor, 5 diminished, flat 6, flat 7, minor, and back to 1. Hi, isn't that nice? Now here's a little riff that I know in Phrygian. Let's hear how it sounds in this tuning. Sounds good, doesn't it? Except that loses some of its usual Phrygian flavor. Now let's go up another bright generator, giving us Aeolian, natural minor. Here's the scale. That's very similar, isn't it? This interval, this second, only went up by 3 steps of 92 Edo from where it was in Phrygian. But now it sounds more major second. So now this is the harmony, tonic minor, 2 diminished, flat 3, 4 minor, 5 minor, flat 6, flat 7, back to 1 minor. So let's hear how a nice little minor key song sounds, shall we? I think that sounded okay, except that doesn't really sound as minor as I'm used to. Probably because of this sharper minor second, minor third here. Probably because of the slightly sharp minor third. Actually, very sharp compared to 12 Edo. So now we are going to go up another bright generator, giving us Dorian. The Dorian's inverse is Dorian, which I think is pretty cool. Notice I have that raised 6 there. So here are the chords. 1 minor, 2 minor, flat 3, 4 major, 5 minor, 6 diminished, flat 7, and there you have it. That's Dorian mode. So let's move on to moving that bright generator number up to 4, and we now have Mixolydian, Rock's favorite mode, if you get what I mean. I actually like the Dorian mode better than this because, I like that minor sound better than that major sound, but this is Mixolydian again. And then these are the chords. 1 major, 2 minor, 3 diminished, which actually means 1 dominant 7 is possible. 4 major, 5 minor, 6, and flat 7, and back to 1. Okay, so now let's take it up another bright generator. So now we're 5 bright generators up. This is a major scale. Let's go. The most common scale in all of Western music. I believe that this 7th is neutral. So notice that neutral 7th there. It's kind of weird having a neutral 7th in a major scale. But here is the chords. You have 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4, 5, 6 minor, 7 diminished, back to 1. I'm not even going to play a major key example for you just because I can't choose this one. And moving on to the last mode, the brightest mode, I should say, the Lydian. I feel like there aren't enough Lydian mode songs out there, so I just have a short little riff in Lydian. Not really a riff, but it's more of a melody. I have a short melody in Lydian that I'm going to share with you, just as an example of how this Lydian mode will sound. Notice how what's supposed to be a tritone is actually 550 cents, or close to that anyway. A semi-augmented fourth. That actually makes it more Lydian, if you ask me. If you ask me, that makes it more Lydian sounding because, you know, it's clear that it's a fourth. It just sounds out of tune. So here are the chords. 1, 2, 3 minor, sharp 4 diminished, 5, 6 minor, 7 minor, and back to the tonic major. Okay, let's adjust that step-size ratio again. So we are now going to do a step-size ratio, a somewhat more common one of 5:4. And we are going to go to the bright generators again. We're starting from Lochran all over again. This time we are on 33 Edo. This is 33 Edo's Lochran. Actually, no, I don't think we changed much here. So let's actually try a different thing here. Let's try 5:3 step size. So this time we're on 31 Edo. And we're in Lochran still. Notice how you have a more semitone. Notice how you have a lot more of a Lochran sound there. So let's just play the chords. Let's try again. Just to get a sense of resolution, I want to go up to the 2 chord. Interesting thing, this scale is in 31 Edo, so this is 31 Edo's diatonic. Little peek as to how the major scale will sound, but I'm going to do it down a semitone in A. pretty beautiful, isn't it? That's 31 Edo. Now let's skip ahead straight to the major scale, shall we? I'm going to skip ahead straight to the major scale. Because that is the major scale right there, and 31. Here are the chords. And this is how one of my favorite major key songs, Diatonic, would sound in 31. Hold on just a moment. So that's how it sounds in 31. Now let's say we take the step size ratio and bring it to 2:1. This is going to provide the very, very familiar 12 Edo. And here we go. Major scale 12 Edo. You're all familiar with this one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do. Yeah, you're all familiar with this. I don't really know how to play that, but whatever. This is the perfect fifth. You'll see it's really perfect. And you'll see that you have a major chord diatonic because this is a major scale. Duh. So now we are going to go harder basic. We're now going to switch over to the minor scale. And we're going to do a 3:1 step size ratio. So this is a 17 Edo minor. So notice how I have smaller semitones. So I actually like the smaller semitones. So when you're coming from, say this mode, that's a major scale. Wait for it. And there you have it. That's why I like the smaller semitone size of the diatonic scale on 17. So if I'm improvising a little melody here. I'm working towards all along to the third degree here, the minor scale, even though this is... So that's what I like about 17. Now let's say that we go even harder. Let's say we have 8 large steps and 8 Edo steps to the large step and 1 to the small step. We are now in 42 Edo. And the semitones have all but disappeared by now. Like, they're very close to being just gone. The semitones are now closer to eighth tones, as a matter of fact. Yeah, notice how it doesn't even really sound like there's semitones anymore, because, you know, an eighth tone is just that small of an interval. So now we are going to do something crazy. I know that this is undefined, but let's say we made the large step 1 and small step 0. Let's say we did that. Let's say we had small steps or 0. Then we get a step size ratio called collapsed. Because if you keep your denominator 1, but then make your number larger and larger and larger, you'll get closer and closer to infinity. Or if you start off with an already large number, like say 70, and you take your denominator and make it smaller and smaller and smaller, approaching 0, you'll approach infinity. So it's natural to say that 1 to 0 ratio means infinity. That is why this is called collapsed. And it just gives us 5 Ito. I just lost it. Let's try this again. So yeah, here we go. So this will give us 5 Ito. And the scale sounds something like this. Notice how every time there's supposed to be a small step, like here to here, it's really just the exact same note, and same here. And that is why the major pentatonic is the most basic scale. If you ask me, that is why the major pentatonic is such a basic scale. Because when you take the major scale and you increase the step size ratio until you hit a denominator of 0. So let's say start at 1 to 1, keep increasing the numerator, then just make the denominator 0. You'll end up with some multiple of 5, and the pentatonic scale. Traditional harmony sounds something like this. That collapsed version of the major scale, or of any diatonic for that matter. Just a small step that plays slightly differently, so that was more of a minor scale. But that's why I would say that is why I would say pentatonic is so important. I hope you all enjoyed, and Mitzvah Hashem, I'll catch you on the very next screen record.